you so much, Matt. We are so thrilled to be with you all. Hopefully everyone can see my screen. It says The Closer, plug and play lessons to finish the year strong. We're here to help. We're here to help as you close out the year and as you begin to think about next year. But we also want to celebrate you all because we know it's been a really tough year. So we're excited that the break is almost here for you all. My name is Rachel Henry. You may have noticed that some other folks are named Rachel Henry coming in. That has been a glitch on our end, so don't worry. You can actually change your name if you go to the participants section and hover over. That was just a glitch of a link being sent out. So we're glad you're here. And yeah, let's go ahead and dive in. So on the kind of the thread of where you're located, we'd love to know what school you teach in and what subjects you teach or what role you have at your school. We're going to do some of these icebreaker questions, and then I promise we'll get to introducing the rest of the team here. And wonderful. Well, as we are continuing, please continue to introduce yourself. We want to get to know you as best we can over the course of the next hour. And yeah, we're excited to be with y'all today. And like I said, summer is almost here. So take a moment, you can revel in all of these memes. We know that it's an exciting time. I remember as a high school teacher, I taught down in Dallas Independent School District. And I always told the students, I'm more excited about summer than you are. They never believed me. So I want to make sure that I introduce the rest of the Illinois team to you all. So again, my name is Rachel Henry. I'm based here in Dubuque, Iowa. So I'm helping support Western Illinois educators. And I'll go ahead and turn it over to my colleague, Jonathan Barnes, also known as JB.
All right. Hey, everybody. I see Jessica Barwas in the chat right now, and I feel like I've emailed Jessica like 17 times today. So welcome, Jessica. I'm Jonathan Barnes, also known as JB because we have another Jonathan on our team. I'm located on the near south side here in Chicago, and I'm recognizing a lot of familiar names and school districts in the chat. So I'd like to apologize for emailing all of you probably like 700 times this year. But it's just really great to finally get to connect with some of you. So thank you. I will popcorn it over to Megan Moran, who's joining us a little further north.
Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for being with us. My name is Megan Moran. I'm an implementation lead here with Everfi. I'm located in Milwaukee, so I cover schools all across Wisconsin and then Northern Illinois and parts of CPS. I grew up in Chicago, so it's great to be back with my people, and it's great to be here with you all. Jonathan Filzen, go ahead.
Hey, reverse bell curve. I like it. So my name is Jonathan. I am located in Minneapolis, Minnesota. I'm the other Jonathan. My role is director of K-12 programs. So I spend a lot of time working with our districts across the Midwest. So Illinois specifically, but also some of the neighboring states as well, and work very closely with the rest of our implementation team here. Very excited to join you all today. Thanks for coming. Rachel.
Yeah, I'll kick it over to, I think, Anna. Did you?
I'll introduce myself. Hey, everybody. I'm Anna Urban. I am also a Chicago folk. So JB and I are your two main Chicago people. Megan's handling some of our CPS schools in the north. I do live in Wicker Park on the west side. I don't know if we have any Wicker Park or Logan Square people in the room. Love Wicker Park. I'm actually the opposite of Megan. I grew up in Wisconsin, moved to Chicago for a city year about 6 years back, and I've been here ever since. You couldn't get me out of Chicago if you tried. I love it here. I just wanted to say thank you all for coming and making it through this school year that seemed like it never was going to end in a way. We're almost there. I think we have about 5 weeks left in CPS and a lot of our other districts a little shorter. But just thank you for coming. And I'll pass it back to you, Rachel.
Perfect. Yes. And I'm excited to kind of roll out the agenda and where we're headed today. So we got through with introductions, but continue to chat in, especially your stories. I love to see those. And I'm going to briefly kind of highlight who Everfi is. So if this is the first time that you're ever hearing of us, maybe you got this email forwarded from one of your colleagues about this session, we'll be able to fill in all the gaps for you. It's also possible that you're familiar with some of our resources, but maybe not all. So we have over 35 programs and they're all no cost. So we'll dive into that. Then we'll quickly transfer over to the breakout room. So this is where you get to pick the session that most resonates for the work that you do with students. And so we'll release that as well. and then we'll bring us all back for takeaways and next steps. But don't hesitate to put your questions in the chat. There's several of us that will make sure that we get those answered for you. So starting with a quick poll question. Have you ever used Everfi resources? That poll was just launched. Is it yes, no, or maybe? Just trying to see who's been using our resources. And if you haven't, no worries. So I'm looking at the poll here. It looks like 26% have and 70% are no, but we didn't have any maybes. It's okay if it's a maybe. Sometimes I've worked with teachers who had used our resources maybe a few years ago and then weren't quite sure, when that was. So very cool. Well, regardless, we're just glad you're here. And we're going to talk about who we are. So in a nutshell, Everfi is your partner in whole child learning. First and foremost, our programs come in the format of engaging digital lessons. And these lessons really cover those critical life skills, right? We want to make sure all students have after they leave high school. Those programs range from kindergarten all the way to 12th grade. So we'll show you the full list here in a minute. But what's really neat about these resources is that students go through these modules on their own. They're short and sweet. Typically, a module is not going to exceed more than about 30 minutes. And each module has a pre and post assessment already built in, which is really nice. We know students love it because they get feedback automatically. And we know that's super helpful for you on the grading front. We also have local support. Of course, you know who your Illinois team is now, and you have a specific specialist assigned to you. It's one of us, and we're here to answer any and all questions and really serve as your support. Everfi should hopefully not be difficult at all to implement. And so if you are experiencing any hurdles or have questions, just know that that's what our jobs are literally here for. And the best news is we're always free. And this has been true since day one of our founding. Our very first resource we ever came out with was called Everfi Financial Literacy. You may have heard of it before. It's the one most people are the most familiar with because we've had it the longest. And what we wanted to ensure when we were releasing that resource for the first time was that no school had any issues accessing it, right? So we wanted to remove that barrier of cost. So what we did is we were able to reach out to both private and public partners to get those resources fully funded. This is great news because this is how all of our resources work. And this has, again, been true year over year. So you can be confident that anytime you use the Everfi resource, there will be no cost or no budget item that you're going to have to add. And just to, again, to highlight kind of where our focus is when we think about curriculum is we're really thinking about the whole child. So when you look at this model, we use it. It's called the Sam Says 8 Dimensions of Wellness. This is really where you can find all Everfi programs fitting in. So things like students' emotional, physical, intellectual, spiritual, environmental, financial, occupational, and social. Typically, it's spanning these, maybe one or two, or maybe more than one. But this is what our product team is thinking about when they design our curriculum. So what can we do? How can we help support you all? I just want to give you this up front, just so as you're thinking about our different resources and as you're in your different breakout sessions, you're thinking, okay, how can I apply this either this school year or as I'm thinking about next, planning for next school year? So know that we can host PD trainings for your schools and districts. These have been district-wide. They've also been as locally as just an individual PLC in a school building. We can also deliver impact reports to your district administrators. If you are an admin on with us, I want you to consider joining Jonathan Filzen's session. He's going to dive all into what impact reports are, so you can really see the impact that's being made for your students with the programs. We also can join your classes virtually for workshop opportunities, and we can also do it in person as well. It doesn't have to just be virtually. And then finally, we can also just meet with you one-on-one. Maybe you have a big project idea for next year and you're thinking, I'd love to use these resources. What's the best practice for aligning this with my scope and sequence? We're here for you on that. And there's probably more ways we can support you. I always like to say the sky's the limit too. So if you have an idea, just let us know. I really like this slide because I think, again, and as we think about the impact we've made in the state of Illinois, it really captures it. So at the top line numbers are listed across your screen. So last year we had 931 schools participate. We had almost 99,000 students take one or more of our resources. And then we had almost 1,800 teachers implement. We work with amazing partners. Remember, I kind of mentioned how we're no cost. So you can see here, we have the Cubs, we have Fifth Third, we have the Bears, the Blackhawks, we have Group 1001, Mass Mutual. What will happen is when you get on your teacher dashboard, you'll see the logos of the different partners, so you know who is providing the funding for that resource. And then finally, other ways that we can partner with you in your district. We are SOPA compliant, so I just want to repeat that. We'll mention it again at the end. And if you have any questions about that, please let us know. We can check to ensure if we have that agreement on file with your district, or if we need to work to make that happen. I know, again, Jonathan's going to hit on that. Jonathan fills in the school leadership session. We can also integrate with Clever. So we've had over 30 school districts integrate with us through that single sign-on platform. And I will also plug that we're quickly going to become also ClassLink integrated as well. So if you're thinking, oh yeah, we use ClassLink, let us know. We can put you on a waiting list, and we're hoping for next year to be able to release that to the greater US. We're piloting with some school districts this year. We can also, like we said, work on curriculum placement opportunities, and we also are aligned to the Illinois state standards. When our product team is working on building our resources, we make sure that we have a foundation of diversity, equity, inclusion, and access built into every single program. So what this means is we're thinking about character design. We're ensuring that we have diverse characters, that they have various skin tones, hair textures, body shapes, and that the clothing that they're wearing is inclusive of socioeconomic classes. We also want to make sure that this is built into the narrative as well, the storytelling throughout the programs. So ensuring that there's varied career experiences, that we have backgrounds represented from both rural, suburban, and urban, and also that growth mindset piece that we know is huge when we think about SEL application. So we want to ensure that students know that mistakes don't equal failure, right? They only mean that there's something to learn. And then finally, just a few other things to note. We make sure that we avoid idioms. We have extensive user testing, both on the student and teacher front when we're releasing new programs. We also have Spanish translation. Now, I do want to caveat that with saying not all of our programs are available in Spanish, but many are. And when we make sure that we revamp our programs every 3 to 4 years, we're constantly making sure we add that Spanish translation opportunity. So let us know if you have any questions about that. And then lastly, we make sure that we include accessibility testing too. All right, without further ado, this is your Everfi course catalog. This is what you're going to be able to dive a little bit deeper into in each of the breakout sessions based on the topic area you're interested in. But just to give you a little bit of an overview, what you're seeing across the top is the different topic areas. So we have our bread and butter, financial education. We have STEM and career readiness, social emotional learning, health and wellness, early academic readiness, and of course, diversity, equity, and inclusion. So within each of these curriculum verticals, they are organized by kind of grade level. So we're starting with more of our elementary offerings and then going down the pipeline to high school. You're going to notice that there are grade levels also listed. That is a suggestion. So I never want you to think that, oh, I have to use mental wellness basics with 8th, 9th, and 10th graders, because you can definitely use it with 7th or 11th and 12th graders. We really want to empower you to pick the plug and play lessons here that really would work best for your students, right? Because we know you know them best. So this is the full catalog. There's so much to digest here. There are hours and hours of both online content and also offline content to dive into. So we really hope that you'll be able to learn a few of these new programs today during the breakout sessions and find something that you can either use here at the end of the school year or as you're planning for next year. So let's get to it.
All right, so we're here to talk about Career Day 2023 and some of the offerings that we have for Everfi. So for starters, this is me. This is who I am. I think I've met at least a handful of you, but my name is Jonathan Barnes. I'm an implementation specialist and based on the near south side here in Chicago. Prior to working for Everfi, I worked in museums for almost 20 years as an informal educator, focusing primarily on STEM education. So STEM is always near and dear to my heart. On this slide here, you can see all the various ways to get a hold of me. I keep my email and my phone right out there. My Twitter for all my boring professional tweets talking about the fun things that I do for Everfi that I say boring, but they're usually pretty cool. And then a link to book 15 minutes with me. So I keep my calendar open. You can throw 15 minutes in my calendar to chat basically about anything you want as it relates to Everfi and implementing it with your students and your classes. So let's go ahead and jump into some of the instructional resources, and I will be highlighting ones that really do a good job of either getting students to think about their careers, building skills in career development, or some of those that we've been highlighting in all of our Career Day workshops this spring. So for starters, let's talk about elementary school. One of the things that I've always found really great about elementary school is elementary kids, especially the younger they are, they have bigger dreams. And it's always important at that level to be engaging in those dreams and starting to connect those dreams to real world skills, real world experience, and how learning and education can empower those dreams to become reality. So the first course I always like to mention as it relates to those dreams and careers is Vault. There is actually a career aspect related into this financial literacy program, all about getting students to think about how they actually make money, where money comes from, and the careers that can start to supply money for students' futures. So moving over to the next vertical, we have two really great STEM programs. I say that not just because I'm a lover of STEM, but I'm also a gigantic hockey fan. So here in the state of Illinois, the Chicago Blackhawks actually sponsor our Future Goals Hockey Scholar program. We have a math version and a science version that take standards-based education in science and math and apply them to the game of hockey. So I was just doing a STEM careers workshop with a school, Sunnydale Elementary, where we actually partnered with the Blackhawks to do some video interviews with some of their staff members who work in fields related especially to math, which is really great. So those are the three programs that are elementary school focused that really do a good job of encouraging students and inspiring students to think about their futures and their future careers. As we get up to middle school, we have quite a few more offerings. So Future Smart is our next level financial literacy program. It puts students in the shoes of the mayor of a town that then helps the residents of the town make all kinds of decisions. And there is actually a career focused module baked into Future Smart. One of our most popular career programs is our Venture Entrepreneurial Expedition program, which tasks students with launching a food truck. So it's a food truck simulation where students are responsible with thinking of the business plan, the marketing push, learning how financing comes around, and then ultimately running their own business. We have Endeavor, an entire course about STEM literacy and career exploration. I know I'm not supposed to pick favorites, but it is my favorite course because it allows students to test drive a wide variety of STEM careers, everything from what it looks like to possibly create video games, to working at a music streaming platform, to developing the latest and greatest in athletic wear. Lots of different careers are potentially possible for students to test drive through this program. Another one that I've been talking a lot about in terms of career education is Character Playbook, which is really a course all about communication skills and working together as a team, recognizing the impact that different really life events can have on young people and being able to navigate through those and handling and dealing with emotions and supporting others when they're in emotional times. One of the things I tell pretty much every career day workshop that I have is that there are very, very few jobs where you were just one person working alone for your entire day, never having to interact with anyone else. So having those healthy communication skills is a vital career component, which is why we're actually bringing that forward when we talk about our career days. So then we move up to our high school program. As we get into high school, obviously future thinking and careers become an even greater focus. So we have quite a few programs that leverage those real world skills as it relates to things like careers. So our Everfi financial literacy program does a great job of thinking about the backbones of careers, things like what it looks like to file for taxes for the first time, or budgeting skills and planning for futures. Really important there. We have Pathways, which is all about financing higher education. So if students are thinking they may want to get additional education after high school, Pathways is great because it encourages students to think about what possibilities there are. Everything from trade schools to community college to public universities and even private universities, what it looks like to prepare for these institutions and prepare to take out loans and apply for scholarships and grants to pay for the education. One of my favorite programs when it comes to thinking about the future and future careers is Keys to Your Future, which is all about college and career readiness. My favorite thing about Keys to Your Future is that it doesn't push students in one particular direction. It really lays everything out, everything from graduating high school and immediately entering the workforce, all the way to going through college and then going into an advanced degree, and how education can open more paths, but every path is unique. So it's always okay to really hone into what makes you unique and special, and then following that to future careers. One of our newer programs is all about data science. This is an entire course focused on one career field, and that is data science, which is an emerging career field with lots of opportunities into a very well-paying profession, and how data science touches on a lot of different businesses and other career fields and makes it a really interesting place to invest time and resources for careers and training. So those are really our most career-focused programs. Our next few slides are actually going to dig a little bit deeper into each of these programs. So in the STEM field, we have our Future Goals Math Edition. It works on data, graphical analysis, calculating area, doing distance versus time, and coordinating planes. So we aim this at grades 4 through 7. But as Rachel mentioned at the outset, these are just recommendations. One of the things I mention to every educator with whom I work is that you all know your students best. So if this says grades 4 through 7, but you're working with maybe some 8th or 9th graders who are a little behind the curve, this could be a perfectly appropriate program for them to work with. On the flip side, if you're working with 3rd graders who are very advanced, you may find a lot of benefit in some of the lessons here. So I always encourage teachers to log into their teacher profile. You can preview any and every course from the teacher dashboard, just like you were a student before you ever roll it out for your classes. So next is the science edition to Future Goals Hockey Scholar. It works with variables, types of force, body systems. We do get into some health science here. So those PE teachers, there is a really good link here for you. And then kinetic and potential energy. Again, my favorite program, Endeavor, which is all about STEM career exploration. We've designed this for grades 6 through 9 in mind, but I've definitely seen 5th grade classes use it, and I've most certainly seen high school classes use it. It really is about kind of sampling different career fields. It covers things like big data, the Internet of Things, future of manufacturing and design, so things like robotics, computers, and automation, algorithms behind playlist recommendations, so things like Spotify, Pandora, game design, working in medical technology, data analysis when it comes to sports, and then transportations and logistics and manufacturing. So the really great thing about Endeavor is it lets students try all these careers, and students can really pick and choose what aspects of those careers they like and build a little portfolio that then they can reflect on for careers they might want to continue to explore. All right. Excellent. I'm seeing a question come in. I'm planning to teach an alternative middle school next year. Kids who don't like school and are below grade level, would it reasonably start them in a lower level class and then move up, or do they overlap a lot? You're absolutely correct. It's totally fine to start at a lower level and then progress into the next level. There is very little overlap, but if we're going from something like Vault, which is for 4th through 6th graders, to Future Smart, which is 6th through 8th graders, that overlap is really transitional. So it helps build build that lesson planning and then build off of it into future courses. So Jessica just weighed in, teaching 4 to 6 for Vault, and then Future Smart for some of the 8th graders. So excellent. Thank you, Jessica, for weighing in. It's always good to have a veteran share that insight. So let me back this up here. So we were just finishing up talking about Endeavor and that STEM career exploration factor. So keys to your future, I was just doing an entire day of career workshops with one of our high schools in the south suburbs of Chicago. And really, this course is absolutely fantastic because it indulges students to think about their current plans and where those plans can actually take them. So this is designed for 9th through 12th graders. I was working mainly with sophomores, juniors, and seniors this week with this course, and it does just an outstanding job of kind of opening minds and opening thoughts as to what is possible after high school and the pathways to get to those different possibilities. As I mentioned, Data Science Foundations is focused purely on one career field of data science. It's kind of a hard topic to wrap your mind around, but it is a broad career field that will have impacts in virtually every industry. Data science really is the way of the future. I know when I was in high school, everyone was saying, you got to focus on computers, you got to focus on computers. Now we're shifting into data science. So figuring out the science of why things work, how things work, and then being able to interpret data into positive ways that can lead different industries into the future. Pathways is all about financing higher education. This is a great program to work with high schoolers in, especially in the fall. There is an interactive FAFSA module built into this. So it'll help students introduce them to the FAFSA program, start prepping students to possibly have conversations with their parents and guardians about needing help with the FAFSA, things like having family tax returns available and needing that parental help to sign off on different forms and programs. All right, and then we get into our financial capability suite. So Everfi is our really basic, fantastic financial literacy program. I always say if you're going to teach one financial literacy course in your classes in high school, Everfi is a great one to do because it touches on a lot of different very critical aspects of being financially literate. The very first lesson in Everfi puts students in the shoes of a high schooler who's working a summer job, who gets their first hard copy paycheck. And then the student says, well, what do I do with this? Where do I take this? And it walks them through the aspects of going to a bank or a credit union or just a check cashing center and the impact of opening accounts in these various institutions, what that looks like, who works in banks, and then really building up from there. Venture, as I mentioned, is all about entrepreneurship. We tailor this for grades 7 through 10, but I've definitely seen high school juniors and seniors use it because it does a really good job of doing that personalized aspect of, are you the right type of person, the right mindset to be an entrepreneur, and recognizing that maybe in your head, being your own boss sounds like a good idea, but there are actual implications to being the boss and in charge of everything. So this does a great job of putting students in those shoes. Marketplaces is all about investing basics. One of the things I was unprepared for when I started this job with Everfi is just how interested young people are in investing. There are a lot of platforms that have made investing in the stock market much, much easier than it's ever been. So students are naturally getting more and more interested in it. So this course does a great job of not only outlining working in the stock market as a career, but what it looks like to be something of a day trader and a casual trader of stocks to try and build long-term financial wealth. All right, and the next thing we're going to do is I'm going to walk you through what it looks like to get started with Everfi, to create a teacher profile, and to maybe set up some classes. So let me escape out of this. And all you basically do is you go to everfi.com/create, select the teacher button. You could create a student profile, but I'd highly recommend you creating a teacher profile. You'll be asked then to locate your school, so your state, your school name or postcode. Almost every school in the United States of America is in our database, but if you can't find your school, you can always register it here. And then you complete your profile with your first name, last name, the grade levels you teach, any topics or subject areas that you teach, and then your school email address and creating a password. And once you do that, you will be, I need to move my window here. Let me stop my screen share here for a second to get to where I need to be. And when you then log in, this is what the teacher dashboard looks like. So we're currently in the home screen. If you are new to Everfi and have never logged in before, this will be pretty blank. What the home screen does is it shows you courses you've either created a class for in the past or have expressed interest in. To access our catalog, all you need to do is go to the Explore Catalog button or the Catalog tab here. What that is going to do is it's then going to show you everything we have available. So as I mentioned, here's our Everfi course. If you wanted to preview this course, just as if you were a student, all you need to do is click on this View Course button. It'll open a new tab, and this is exactly what the Everfi Financial Literacy Program looks like to students. You can click and go through every single lesson and preview it just like you were a student before you ever create a class for your kids. So I highly recommend doing this. If something looks interesting, take it for a test drive before you roll it out with your students. All right. And because that covers up, I need to stop screen share and start it again. All right, so we are back to our teacher dashboard. And the other thing you do, View Course again will allow you to preview as if you were a student. The View Resources tab here will open up a new window with all kinds of additional resources, everything from answer keys to the quizzes that happen at the end of every course outlines, curriculum guides, standards alignment, discussion guides, lesson plans. One of my favorite things is we even have pair decks for some of our courses, which are basically interactive PowerPoints that allow you to launch a program with your students while also allowing them to do questions and answers. Really fantastic stuff. And we have discussion guides here. So every single one of our programs will have its own assortment of resources. So I always recommend checking those out. When you're ready to set something up for your students, all you need to do is click Create Class. It'll bring you to this screen where you can name your class anything you like, select a start date, enter in your class size, and then the grade level you'll be working with. One of my favorite things about the teacher dashboard is we're creating this course for the Everfi Financial Literacy Program. But let's say, for instance, you want your students to also do another program along with it. You can just click Add New Course and say, for instance, we want to do Pathways about financing higher education. You just click the check mark there, click Add Courses, and now the class you're setting up will contain both of those Everfi programs, which will be available for students. All you do then is click Create Class, and it will bring you to the classes screen, and it will automatically pop up this registration code. This is the code students will use to then get enrolled in this class that you set up. So the way that works is students will go to everfi.com/create. They will click on the student profile. They will immediately be asked for this code. So they just type in that code. Then all they need to do is enter in a username and a password, enter in their birthday, and they will be thrown right into the course that you set up for them. The really great thing is these codes are always stored here on your dashboard, so you never need to write them down to remember them. We save it all for you. So we are now in the home screen and the classes tab. This is where all the classes you set up will always be. And if you click on the students tab, this is where you'll see all of the students who signed into the program. Now, another way to get students into your class is you can actually add them here by clicking the Add Students button. And you can add a single student, or one of my favorite things is you can add multiple students at the same time. So all you do is click that, select the course you want to add students to, click Next, and we have a sample CSV or Excel spreadsheet file that you can download. Then all you need to do is type in a student's name, first name, their last initial, assign them a username, answer if they're over the age of 13. The only reason we ask that is we do not ask survey questions if a student is under the age of 13. An optional email for the student, a password, and an optional email for parents. You upload that and your roster is already set and then into that class. The last thing on the home screen is the reports tab. The reports tab here is where you can find your grade book. So you simply click on the reports, select the drop-down menu, select whichever course you want to see the grades for, and it will pop up right here. So you'll see the final scores every student has on the quizzes at the end of each lesson. So my favorite student, Tessie McTesterson, has scored 100% across the board in Everfi Financial Literacy. They have certified. Certified means they've gotten a passing grade on every quiz and they've finished the course. You can actually take this entire gradebook and download it as a CSV file. So if you ever need to upload grades into a different program or want to archive them for future reference, you can save it all as an Excel spreadsheet there. The last tab on our teacher dashboard is our support tab. This is where you go to find any type of help you may need. So you'll always find the email address of your local implementation specialist. So I know I'm Jessica's. Jessica can always find my email right here. We have links to all those scholarship opportunities that Rachel was mentioning earlier. We are a technical support center. So if you ever run into technical issues, this is always the best place to start to look for those. Course standards alignment for state and national standards. Another link to the student registration page. And lastly, the troubleshooting tips. So any type of speed bumps you may run into, they may actually be solved there in troubleshooting tips. The last thing that I will share is our invite a teacher button. We always say that teachers are our best advertisers. So if you're really enjoying using Everfi and you want to recommend it to somebody else, you just click that invite a teacher button where you enter in their name, their email, the school they're at, their state or province. You can add a personal greeting and recommend up to 5 courses. Click send invitation. Now, the really great part is if this teacher is brand new to Everfi and starts a class with at least 4 students in it, we will send you a $15 Amazon gift card as a donation to your classroom for that referral. So it's our way of saying thank you for recommending us to one of your colleagues. So that is the teacher dashboard. The one thing, the top note that I tell every teacher with whom I work, there is nothing you can break here that your implementation person cannot unbreak. So never be afraid. We're always here to help. So that is a little bit about our Career Day 2023. As I mentioned at the top, I don't know if the recording caught it, but we are offering lots of Career Day workshops this spring, encouraging students to think about the careers that could be open to them. We typically structure these workshops where we will share our own career journeys, talk about our educational past, the jobs we've had, the passions and skills we have and how those have informed our careers, and then reflexively turn that back on students. What are things you're interested in? What careers are you examining? What is the most important value to you as you think about jobs and careers you want to have? So these workshops last about 45 minutes, and then we get students started on one of our programs that is content and age appropriate to your class. And we're always willing to work with you. So if there's a course you're particularly interested in, we can usually find ways to work that into a career day aspect. So with that being said, I'm going to open it up. I see we have a chat. Let's see, Jessica, I teach 6th through 8th grades, but they're all different levels. So I use 3 different financial literacy courses. Absolutely. It's one of the great things about the flexibility of our programs is we don't button you in. If you teach 6th through 8th grades, you can use stuff for 4th through 6th grade. You can use things for the high school level, depending on the fit for your classes. So are there any other questions we have about the things I've discussed today, the things I've shared, questions about the teacher dashboard? You can feel free to come off mute if you like, or you can type into the chat. I know we've got about 5 or 10 minutes until we go back to the main room. Jessica, what's up?
Hi there. Can you show how a teacher would check a student progress once they're in a course?
Yeah,
For
absolutely.
grading purposes?
Yeah, so when you go to the reports tab, I apologize, I don't have giant rosters here, but you just simply go to the reports tab and then you can select whichever course you want to check up on them on. So I showed the Everfi one. Let me see, what else do I have here? So vaping, know the truth. My Tessie McTesterson has not started any courses, so they are not certified. But as they are completing each of those quizzes, you will see them along here. You can also go to the students tab and you can check on students. Printing certificates is what happens when students certify, but you can also go to classes here. And let me see if I can find the right class for this. So you can see students here, certified, not certified for each of those courses. But basically, those are the 2 ways that you can do it. The best way is always through the reports tab here by selecting the course you want to do through that. All right.
I had a question. You were describing the career day where you guys would talk about your careers and your journey and then ask them. So I teach 6th through 8th grade, and I'm wondering, and our classes are 42 minutes. So um, would those be available to like repeat, or is it like one day at a certain time? How does it work?
We're pretty flexible and accommodating with those workshops. So I know, I think it was yesterday, I think I did 4 different workshops for the same school for different periods of different classes. Also, I'm doing a workshop next week where I think every 5th grade teacher is logging on at the same time to see the one presentation. So we're pretty flexible with that. What I would recommend is reaching out to your implementation specialist, because I will tell you, all of our Illinois folks are in this chat. We are all doing career day workshops right now. So you just shoot us an email, be more than happy to work through some logistics and answer any questions you have, and probably work on some scheduling stuff too, to make it work best for you all.
How do I know which person to contact?
Great question. So if you already have an Everfi account, all you need to do is go to the support tab here, and your local implementation specialist's email shows up right there. If you are new to Everfi, are you new to Everfi?
I should have a support tab because I
Okay.
used it. Some of my other colleagues use this, and I used it last year. I haven't used it this year, but there's a lot of things you just described that I'm like, oh, that would work perfect for my class. So I'll probably use them.
What I tell pretty much every teacher with whom I work is, if you teach a class K through 12, we probably have at least one of our programs that is either going to enrich something you're teaching in your classroom or help you introduce something that you've always wanted to get into with your students. That's what I like to say. I believe it, and I hope it's still true.
All right. Well, I hope you had an awesome session. And since I know that we can't you can obviously attend more than one session, we're going to do a quick recap from each of the presenters from the team. And then we're going to just talk about some last minute things before we wrap up. So takeaways from each breakout session. We'll start with Anna first.
Awesome. Well, we were not fully done yet, and I apologize. We were still going through the dashboard walkthrough, but I'm confident that you all will be able to finish those last few steps, and appreciate your patience with me. Our major takeaway is that global citizenship is important to Gen Z. The learners that we have in our K-12 system right now are Gen Z. Global citizenship is important to them, and we can transform our classrooms to match the interests and passions of our students. We can do it, and it will be really valuable to their learning if we do. Rachel, thanks for asking me for that takeaway.
You bet. Session 2, with JB, Jonathan Barnes.
Yeah, the thing that we really talked about, or that I really tried to enforce, is that students of all ages are thinking about their futures. They may not know exactly what they want to do or what jobs or careers they want to do, but it's never too early to start planting those seeds. So we have a lot of options available, a lot of programs available that can help guide students through that thought process. And I even mentioned we're doing quite a few workshops this spring about careers and career days. So to reach out to your implementation specialist if you're interested in having a career day with your students this spring before school lets out.
Perfect. And next one, Megan.
Yeah, so it's really important to reach our students early when it comes to skills like literacy, financial responsibility, practicing and demonstrating compassion. You really can't start having those conversations too early.
Yeah, absolutely. And we do truly have programs that go all the way down to kindergarten, especially our early literacy. So thanks so much, Megan. And then finally, Jonathan Filson.
All right. The takeaway I'd love people to leave with for this one is just looking at strong partnerships, be it with Everfi or other curriculum partners that you have, is looking for just building consistency from them and the support that they're providing, consultation, making sure it's a two-way street of communication, looking at different ways to collaborate, including with things like single sign-on integration and PDs, and then making sure that there's accessibility of resources. One, like legal accessibility with having those like SOPA agreements signed, as well as looking at partners that make sure that the courses are accessible to students in a variety of manners.
So just another iteration here of SOPA. We are SOPA compliant. I would just like to reiterate it one more time for everyone. If you are concerned at all about this and you just want to confirm that your district has an agreement on file with us, please reach out to our colleague, Heather Miller. She didn't get a shout out earlier today, but she is on the line. Her email is hmiller@everfi.com, and she would love to be able to, make sure that we can check that box for you so there's not any hurdles in this direction. And finally, I know that there was some talk about workshops, and we also have a really cool opportunity that can go along with the workshop, or if you get started on your own, and that is our Fifth Third Scholarship Contest. So Fifth Third is one of our sponsors for our Everfi Financial Literacy and Venture program. Venture is an entrepreneurship resource. So if this is something of interest, I would say the target audience is like 11th through 12th graders. Definitely check this out. Applications aren't due until May 27th, so there's still time. You could have us come in, do a workshop with your students and have them apply. And we included the instructions here, so you definitely don't have to have us come in and do a workshop, but we're happy to do that. And we do have 28 winners selected. So that is what that scholarship piece is. So definitely check that out if you think that that could be of interest to your students. And then finally, I know that these were chatted in during the breakout rooms, but we would love to be able to get some feedback from you on next steps. Basically, this is just the way you can quickly share with us how we can best serve you this school year and beyond. So I believe Heather is chatting that in, or one of my colleagues is going to chat that link in one more time. You can also scan this QR code with the T-Rex that's in the middle. I don't know why there is a dinosaur, but there is. And that's just going to take you to like a 30-second survey. No one wants to do a 30-minute survey. 30 seconds should be real quick. And that is pretty much all we have. I know we are about 5 minutes left, but we're happy to answer any and all questions that you may have.
So I know you said the services are free. I'm guessing someone else is thinking, but the presentations, if you come to the district to present, is there any costs associated with those, or those are free too?
Everything is free. Everfi will never charge you for any student workshops, professional development, the curriculum. I should have said it. It just sounds like it's too good to be true. But the programs are fully funded, and like our positions are fully funded because of the sponsorship. So it's one of our favorite things to do. A lot of us have either been former educators or we've worked in some capacity in the education industry. And so we're just here to help. We want to make life easier, but also help empower students with those critical skills.
So I just call my district and I have to make sure we're SOPA compliant, or you guys are registered as SOPA compliant with us. How does that work?
Exactly. We can check to make sure that we have an agreement on file with you. So I don't know if we're able to chat in. Can someone chat in Heather's email for Joy, just so she knows directly and if honestly you connected with any of us, we would get it over to Heather. But feel free to copy and paste Heather's email, and you can just forward that either to your tech department, or even just like email your IT department and CC Heather, and we can get that situated for you. And if for some reason there's not an agreement on file, we can get one on file pretty quickly. It's a pretty simple process.
Quick question. I'm completely new to Everfi, so I am just wondering, are the lessons built for students to like really self-direct, or can I ever do it like as a whole group sort of lesson?
Yeah, this is a really great question too, and I'm happy to answer, but any of my colleagues can chime in as well. We have primarily seen that the lessons were developed or have been developed for kind of the individual use, at least on the online components. We do have offline material that's meant to be serving that whole group instruction piece, especially as it comes to those discussions, which we 100% would love to see happen, because that's kind of the magic, right, of students getting the information on their own devices, but then coming together to discuss. So in terms of the online piece, we would recommend kind of that self-paced approach like you're discussing, just because there's assessments built in, and every student will be able to take that individual assessment and get their scores. So that's typically what we recommend, but if anyone else has any other thoughts from the Everfi team, feel free to chime in.
I just say too, some of our courses, like specifically the Compassion Project, is actually really written to be like a hybrid course, full class, as well as some self-directed pieces. So kind of depending on what you use as well.
One more thing I'll add is I've heard a lot of teachers using the resources in like a centers style way this year, where they have half the students individually doing a course and then they're working on like a guided external lesson on their own. Like Rachel said, you can find those in the resources section, and then having them flip flop and doing the different things. So you can kind of have that one-on-one time, but also allow students to work on it on their own.
Really great question, Chloe. We get that a lot. So hopefully that helps. And also experiment. Like that's the cool thing about Everfi. There's not like one right way to do, like to implement our resources. And we love the creativity that you all have and meeting your students' needs. So just let us know how we can best support you.
And we just had another question come through the chat. Are the assessments state standard based? So we align with national standards, Jumpstart standards, we're CASEL competency aligned. We're pretty much aligned with everything. So yeah, we are aligned with the Illinois state standards.
Can these be accommodated? So if students need paper copies because they do better on paper copies, but I know they watch the self-paced things, are these able to be accommodated in that way?
So to make sure I understand your question, is the question, is the digital programs available via a paper copy?
Yeah, so right? like if there were questions at the end and the student does better on paper versus like computer access and things like that, is it able to be accommodated in that way?
This is a really great question. And I will say that at this time, we don't have like a fully like a downloadable copy where you could have students go through it on paper. Now we do have built-in accessibility with like closed caption, and we do have some transcripts as well, but not where it would be fully implemented via paper. Okay. However, we do have some offline or some lessons we created like during like remote learning time that we'd be happy to share as well. They go kind of alongside with the offline lessons. Okay. I don't know if anyone else has any other thoughts.
Now, Rachel, it's Heather. The assessments, they should also be included in the teacher dashboard for most of those courses. So if you're just looking for the assessment part, we should have that. If not, your implementation specialist can get that for you.
Okay, thank you.
And along with that, if your students do take the assessments or final quizzes on paper, there is a way for you to update their scores in the digital. So it makes it all happy.
Okay, thank you.